All right, and welcome back. This lesson is where we get into the nitty-gritty. We are going to create our claim and start filling out the first phase of handling this claim. So there's always more than one way to do something in Xactimate. So I'm going to show you both ways to create a new claim. That way you can choose which way is more efficient for you and which way feels more comfortable. Because the most important thing you can do is get comfortable and get efficient within Xactimate. The more efficient you are, the more you'll close, the more money you'll make. Okay? So the first way to add a new claim, you see up here in the recent projects section that we talked about in the last lesson, you'll see the search bar. We can type in the insured's name, John and Jane Smith, and you can see since I don't already have a project labeled as John and Jane Smith, it's giving me the option to add a new project. So we just want to click that button and it's populating, and now we have a project with our insured's name, and this is their file. So everything you do for this claim is going to be done inside of the John and Jane Smith project. You don't have to follow along in this part, but I want to save and exit, and I want to show you the other way to create a claim. And that is if you go up to the Xactimate tab, the very first option here you'll see create new project. Click that and it's going to ask you to give it a name. So on this one we're going to call it Jane and John Smith. We're going to set our profile to carrier and we're going to hit OK. And you'll see it does the same thing. Creates a new assignment with our insured's name, Jane and John Smith. So I want to work in the other one, so I'm going to save and exit. I'm going to head back to the control center and let me just delete this real quick. Just so we only have one instance of this insured. Okay, so now to open a project that you've already created, you can double click it like this and it opens right up. You can right click, hit view. That will also open it up. Exit. Or you can highlight it and hit enter, and that'll also open it up. So my personal preference is just to double click. It opens up. So there are a ton of tabs in the navigation once you create a project. Okay, I know it's overwhelming, especially if you've never looked at Xactimate before, so I want to break this down, and I still do this to this day. I break every claim down into 3 phases. Phase 1 is the information phase. Phase 2 is our estimate, and phase 3 is our documentation. That's it. It makes it very simple, and I do not move on to the next phase until I've finished the previous phase. Okay, so that being said, let's start with the first phase, which is the information phase, and that takes place in this first tab, these first 3 sub-tabs here. Okay, and just read it like a book. We're going to go left to right. Okay, so we're in the first tab. We're going to go insured info, get it filled out. We're going to go coverage loss, get it filled out, and then we're going to work on our parameters page and get it filled out. And then we are done with phase 1. Okay, we're a third of the way through with the estimate at that point. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So go ahead and open up your test claim file that you downloaded for the course. You're going to see a file in there labeled insured info. So go ahead and open that up, and that's going to give us all the information we need to start filling out the information phase. And like I said, we're going to go left to right, and on each page, we're just going to go top to bottom, straight down. Okay? So let's do that now. So our name, John and Jane Smith, and I use the tab key to move over, and our address, we are going to copy, and this is exactly what you would do if you were handling a legitimate claim. You're going to have a deck page or a first notice of loss, and all you're going to do is literally just copy that information over to your estimate. Okay, and that's all we're doing here. So this is in Granbury 76048. Our phone number, we want to have that in there. Now for some reason in Xactimate you cannot copy and paste a phone number. I don't know why, so that is an annoying feature you're going to have to get used to. Okay, so you will have to manually type in the phone number. But we're going to keep moving on to our email. Again, all we're doing is providing the information for the claim that we are working on. That's it. So then as you drop down to the next section, it's the dates section. You'll see that here. And what this is we're telling Xactimate when it happened, when we received the claim, when we contacted them, etc. So let's just go ahead and fill out our dates. So the data loss was the 15th of April, and we received it on the 17th of April. Okay, so the date of loss was the 15th of April. We received it on the 17th of April. We made contact same day, and we inspected it 4 days later. Now we're going to move down to the personnel section, and this is just giving information about who is handling the claim. So anytime you see, I do want to touch base on this, so anytime you see an arrow next to a text field, that's what they call a smart list. And what you do there is you can import and add information in the smart list, and they're global. They're not specific to this claim. So anytime you add one, it is available on any claim that you work. Okay, so you're just adding contacts. So for example, let's make you the claim rep and the estimator. So we're going to click this arrow, and that's going to pull up our smart list. And you may not have anything in here. If you haven't worked in Xactimate, yours is going to be blank. I went ahead and deleted mine out, so mine is blank as well to match your screen. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add a contact into our smart list. So just put your name, and you'll see that it automatically populates a quick code. And I'll show why this is important in just a second, but you always want this quick code to be something you can easily remember. And that's going to save you from having to go into the smart list every time, search through all your contacts, and click the contact that you want. You can just enter this quick code and it'll automatically populate for you. And I'll show you what that looks like. So let's do this. Let's put our name, use the quick code as your first name, and just put your phone number. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're adding a contact. So once we have these three pieces of information, name, quick code, phone number, we're going to hit OK, and you'll see that now it's available in our smart list. Okay, so let's just go ahead and hit OK, and you'll see that it drops it in place. Now, as I said before with the quick codes, why this is helpful is so you put all your information in, all your dates. Now you're down to the personnel section. All you have to do to keep yourself from having to come in here every single time, if you know your quick code, just type it in, and you'll see that it automatically populates for you. I'll do that again for you. So you type it in, and it pulls it up. Okay? No need to dive into the smart list itself. All right, so we're just going to keep going on. The bottom section here is your mortgage. It's very important that this is included. So they have a mortgage of Wells Fargo. We're going to paste that in there. And if you have a loan number, go ahead and add that as well. You won't always have this information, but if you do, be sure to include it. Okay, and we have now completed the first page. So all we're going to do now is we're going to move over to the right, read it like a book, left to right. We're going to move over to the coverage and loss tab. And again, we're just going to go top to bottom, filling out the information. So we have a claim number right here. We're going to copy it and paste it in. Policy number right here. And the next section is the type of loss. So we're going to select hail for this type. And the cause of loss underneath, if it's a hail claim or a weather-related claim, there's no need to put a cause of loss. This is more specific for water claims, and I'll show you what that looks like. So let's say we go to a water claim. The cause of loss is the more specifics of what caused the water damage. Okay, so you'll see here if you drop down, you have broken pipe, frozen pipe, plumbing leak, etc. So with it being hail, obviously hail is what caused the loss, so we don't need a specific cause. All right, so we're going to keep moving. The next section is CAT code. So if this event was declared a CAT, you will be notified of the CAT code. And what this is it's just an identifier for this particular storm. All right, so we're going to say that this did not qualify as a CAT, therefore there is no CAT code, just leave it blank. So always remember in Xactimate, if you aren't filling out piece of information, no need to put NA, no need to put none, just leave it blank and move on. Okay, so next section is our policy dates. This is going to be our inception date and when the policy is valid. So we're going to paste that in there. And you'll notice, before I click over, I'm going to show you, it defaults to a year. So if our inception date was 1/1/2018, as soon as I hit tab to go to the next field, it's going to default a year later, just like that, to January 1st, 2019. We don't need initial coverage. Some firms may require you to enter the form numbers, and I'll show you what that looks like. We're not going to do it on this claim, but I want to show you where it's at in case you are required to do it. So if you click the box, it's going to open up all your forms, and these are your policies and endorsements. So all you would do is just select the different forms, and it's okay if you don't know these. They'll be given to you on the deck page. They'll tell you which forms they have on their policy, and you'll just select them and hit OK. And when you see MOLT come up here, that means that they've been accepted and noted. Okay, so like I said, in this claim we're not going to use any, so I'm going to just click off of these. Okay, so it's blank again. Okay, moving to the right, you'll see your deductible. Okay, so let's get that, pull that in from our sample deck page. We see it's 1%. What that means is it's 1% of the dwelling coverage. For example, we have $174,000 of coverage for the dwelling. And I'll show you how to quickly, easily figure that up, what 1% is. If you type in, open a calculator, and if you type in the coverage, you're going to do times 0.01. So that's 1%. Hit enter. So there's our deductible, $1,740. Okay, another way you could do this is take your decimal point and move it 2 places to the left. This is going to be 2 places, so we are left with 1740. So let's go ahead and enter that in, and then we'll start bringing in our coverages. So our deductible, we determined was $1,740. Our dwelling policy limit was $174,000, $174,000. Our other structures, which is 10% of the dwelling coverage, is going to be $17,400. Our contents coverage, they have $108,000 worth of coverage, so we're going to put that in here. And we're not going to worry about the loss of use. Now I do want to touch on the deductible here. Make sure it is applied across all coverages. And the reason being, let's say that your dwelling damages are $1,000 and your other structures damages are $2,000. If we make this coverage specific and we put this deductible on the dwelling and there's only $1,000 worth of damage, it's only going to apply a $1,000 deductible. Okay? By putting it across all coverages, it'll max out the dwelling damages at $1,000, and then the remaining $740 will be taken from the other structures because it's across all of the coverages. So it's going to take all the coverage damage and we're going to deduct that deductible straight from there. Okay? And that is it for this coverage and loss page. So we're ready to move on to our last and final page for this phase, which is the parameters page. Really easy, 3 simple sections. Pricing, we're going to add our price list, and you do that again, you have a smart list, so you're going to click down and select your price list. If you're using a demo, the only price list you'll have available is the training price list, and you'll see that as soon as you click this down arrow, you'll see it available to you. Alright, the tax jurisdiction, again, if you're using the demo, you're only going to have training. But what it looks like on a real claim is you'll have your price list. So we're going to select the latest, which is, this is Texas DFW, April 2018. We're going to select that, and you'll notice it brings me up to the tax jurisdiction dialog. And this, in Texas, it's 8.25%. And so we just double click that, and that tells Xactimate what tax percent to use. We want to make sure that this is left at contractor, and the reason being is if you select homeowner, the prices that it pulls when you build your estimate are a little bit lower. So we always want to make sure that it's set to repaired by contractor. But its default is this, so you should never have to touch any of this. The only thing you should touch in this pricing will be the price list and the tags. That's it. We'll move down to the next section to add-ons. And you'll see here, these will be set by your carrier, by your firm. They will tell you what they want checked and what they want unchecked. And they'll tell you what the max depreciation is. This will all be in your guidelines as soon as you start receiving claims. They will give you a guideline PDF of how to set up your Xactimate and how they want all their settings set up. And so, for example, for this course, we're going to set our max depreciation at 50%. We're going to set it to recoverable depreciation by default, and we're going to depreciate it by age and condition. So what that means is that if we have a 20-year roof and it's 10 years old, that means it is depreciated by 50% because it is 50% of its life. Okay, so with Xactimate, the really cool thing is when we depreciate by age and condition, and you'll see this in the next lesson, is that when we depreciate our line items, we can just put in how old they are. That's it. We don't have to figure out the percentages. We don't have to do anything like that. The system will do it for us. So 95% of the time, your firm will require you to depreciate by age and condition. All right. So again, that comes in default, so you won't ever have to touch that. You shouldn't ever have to touch any of this right here once you set it one time. All right. The last section, and this will wrap up our information phase, is our company header and our opening statement. And once again, you'll see that we have a smart list available. So we're going to click that arrow, and we need to add our company header because this is the first time we're working for this specific carrier. Okay, so to do that, we're going to go to add, and we want to make it a code that we can remember. Remember, anytime you see a code option, make it something memorable so that way you don't have to always come in here and grab it. You can just type in the code and move on. Efficiency is key. So we have our code, the company name, and this file will be located in that folder that you downloaded. So our company name is AvidCat Training. So we're going to paste that in the company name. Then you're going to put the info, which usually consists of the company name, the address, and a phone number. So we're going to copy this information, and we're simply going to paste it in the info. Now we need to upload our logo. So you'll go to the image, click that, and you'll find the logo in that company header folder that you downloaded. Double click, there it is. All we're going to do is hit OK. So now you'll see it's in our smart list. Okay, so I'm going to cancel this and I'm going to show you. All we're going to do is we're going to type in Avid, and it's there. Okay, no need to go into the smart list. But again, since there is more than one way to do something, you can click on the arrow. You'll see it available in your smart list. Double click it and it will apply it as well. Okay. To the right here, you'll see an opening statement. And again, this will be given to you by your firm. So this will vary from firm to firm. They will give you all this information that they want. So I just want to show you how to import them and add them whenever you do finally receive them. You're going to click on model, and it's a smart list. And so we need to add our opening statement for this specific carrier. So we're going to hit add, locate that file that's an opening statement, copy it, and we're going to paste it in here. Okay, that simple. For the model name, this is different than all the rest of the smart list for some reason, but this is essentially your code. Okay, so we're going to type in Avid, and there is no save or cancel button. You have to go to File and Save. Okay, and that's it. There is no success, no anything like that. So just trust that whenever you file and save, then it's good to go. So we're going to hit exit, and you'll see now it is added to our smart list. So like everything else, to import it in and get it set up for this claim, double click, and you'll see it drops in here. Okay. So that is it for the first phase of completing this claim, is our information phase. And I want to just briefly run back through it. So in our first tab here, our first 3 sub tabs, left to right, we have our information, which is who our insured is, the dates applicable to the loss, such as the loss date, the date received, when we inspected it, so on and so forth. We have who's handling the claim, and we have who their mortgage is. Moving over to the right, we have our coverages tab, and this is all about the insured's coverage, their claim number, their policy number, what type of loss it was, their coverage amounts, their deductible, and any forms if applicable. The next page over is your parameters, and this is just telling Xactimate what our price list is and which tax rate we're going to be using. Our company header and our opening statement. And that's it. We are 33% of the way done with our claim. So if you need clarification on anything, feel free to replay this video and dive into it a little bit slower. Before you move on to the next lesson, you should have these 3 pages filled out. Okay, so go ahead and do that now. And once you're ready, go ahead and head on to the next lesson, and we'll see you over there.